Do you remember the Zipp wheels that we sent back to Zipp with that loose bearing issue after only a couple of rides? But in the lateral direction, they are wobbling like crazy. And well, they're back, and I can report that the Zipp Technical Centre have actually replaced the bearings. Let's unbox these and show you what they've actually done. Now, if you remember, this axle was wobbling so much. And, oh, they come off easily. Let's take the end caps off and see what they've done. They've definitely put new fresh grease in there, so something's definitely happened. And if you ever do this, just try and keep hold of these little pulls and that seal. Okay, let's have a look. So definitely changed these bearings. The bearings that we sent back had 6903E written on them. And these don't have any markings at all. That's interesting. They've definitely swapped those bearings. And let's have a look on this side. Yep, absolutely no markings on there whatsoever. So interesting, maybe we're looking at a batch of bearings which were either a little bit faulty or a little bit undersized. So maybe it's worth, if you've got a set of these, just checking out and seeing if there's actually some markings on that bearing seal. And maybe that was the problem. We'll never actually know. Zipp didn't actually tell us very much. Now, interestingly, in the last video, loads of you got in contact. So to update you all, the reason why Zipp bearings have to be one way around or the other is actually to do with the actual seals generating some frictions. So the black side's actually sealed the weather better, but the blue side actually rolls a lot freer. So that's why that's important. I also asked the question to Hambini, like, why don't Enduro bearings work? And he said, well, they're a C5 interference fit, which is okay, I think we need a quick pause here to go into a bit more detail on this. Let me just flick into the actual video that we were talking about. So this is the video on the YouTube when we started talking about these Zipp bearings and how they had to be the right way round. Hambini chipped in, and I was wondering why the Enduro bearings, which are a common bearing used in the cycling industry, didn't fit. In my video, I just said C5. We actually meant C3. Hambini says they are an unlabeled C3 clearance. And what that actually refers to is the shaft clearance. Now, here is the NTN, I don't know, handbook, I suppose, for want of a better word. And there's lots of different clearances. Obviously, the outside diameter has a clearance as how it fits in the hub shell. We're talking about the shaft clearance here, and it gives an idea of some of the applications. They're all given a code number, so C3, C4, C2, CM, etc. And we've got a bit of a clue in my video, if you go back and watch it, that the Zipp bearings are supplied by a Swiss medical sort of supplier. So think like dentist drills, that sort of thing. So very, very, very high RPM applications, which is probably more suited to small electric motors here. So we're looking at this C2 CM fit, which they probably are. A little bit of speculation, but there's so much information here. It's quite interesting once you get into it. But here is just a quick table. So a 6903 bearing fits over here, so between a 10 and an 18 millimeter, and here is the clearances in micrometers. And you can see that the CN has got, minimum and maximum tolerances here, and a C3 is significantly bigger. Now, sometimes if they're not actually labelled C3, they're probably more likely C5 because it's not something that the manufacturers want to shout about. Now, if you flick onto the Enduro website, quite a lot of their bearings now say that C3 clearance. Not all of them do, and something to really be aware of when you're buying bearings is the retailers don't always put all this information on their spec sheet. They might put a code number, so sometimes you have to go down another level and just check that what you're buying is what you're after. Now, we're going to come on to seals in a second, but right now, let's flip back to the video. Slightly different fit to a standard bearing. Some of you said that NTN bearings work and SKF bearings work. We have definitely had a lot of success using SKF and NTN bearings on the other types of Zipp hubs, the Cognitions, the V1s and the V2s, definitely kind of work well. with these, we've never had much success using anything apart from Zipp bearings. They always just seem to have that tiny little like mouse type creak to them. They never quite work. And Hambini actually offered some input onto that, and he actually thinks that how the seal is actually held in place is different on this side as well. So there might not be the tolerance to actually keep that seal from actually closing down properly. Okay, let's just pick that up again. So here is the little quote from Hambini. The little creaking noise that I'm talking about, and it is, oh my God, so irritating. It's just like you've done everything is back together properly, all the right grease is in the right place, but you've just got this tiny, oh, it winds me up so much. And the amount of mechanics which have thought it's like your spokes rubbing or the rear derailleur hanger is, it just drives you mad. And nearly always just put in genuine Zipp bearings the right way around, it fixes it, God knows why. But Hambini offered us this insight. The creaking noise can occur because the fully sealed side have a metal retaining ring near the inner race. If you put the bearings in with the seal facing in, the ring is not in tension and it can exhibit creaking noise. Back to our bearings. So now, NTN have got some really good resources, and here's one that just gives us a few diagrams as to what we are talking about. So this is talking about the groove where the bearing sits. So if you come back to this picture here, you can imagine these black rubber seals. They have to be held in place with like a little lip. And so what you're looking at here is a cross section of that lip. So this blue bit here is how that little rubber lip is held in place. And they have different specs. Obviously, you have rust resistant ZZ, which normally look like metal. We sometimes use these in turbo trainers, actually. But generally speaking, we tend to have this LLU or LLB seal, depending on what type of weather sealing you want. So down here, it will give us an idea. So this non-contact type LLB, weatherproofing is poor, but torque is very low. And the LLU, which we're probably more used to seeing, is dustproofing best, waterproofing very good, but torque is low. So what we're saying here is the little retaining clip that keeps this high weatherproof seal in might not have tolerance to actually let it move properly, and that's why we get that insistent creak. Okay, very, very, very small detail, but sometimes it's just the tiniest movements that can make the biggest difference. Okay, let's get back to the video again. Either way, if you've got a set of these, have a check and really do make sure that you fit in quality, genuine Zipp bearings. It will make the world of difference. And if you've got a set and you just got that annoying little creak that you just cannot identify, it's probably the bearings. Before we finish up, I don't think we've even scratched the surface of bicycle bearings, but just to add a little bit more information and just show you some of the bearings that we keep in stock here. So very quickly, we tend to keep the NSK bearings in. These are on the ZZ seal, which is a metal seal, no contact at all. You wouldn't put this inside a bike. We normally put these inside turbo trainers when we're repairing, like direct drive turbo trainers. And these work pretty well for that application. We keep a few SKF bearings in stock, mostly for working on sort of older Zipp wheels, that sort of thing, really. We have found that these do work in older Zipp wheels quite well and are fairly cost effective as well, that sort of thing. We do keep quite a lot of NTN bearings in stock as well, mostly on the LLU seal. Again, for when we're trying to diagnose creaks, or if a customer really wants like a really good endurance, they just do an awful lot of miles and don't mind investing in the bearings. These are expensive, and you can get an awful lot of stainless steel replacements for the price of one of these, but we do keep those in. We keep Enduro bearings in stock as well, mostly for the max capacity for doing suspension pivots. Max capacity means that they actually fill the bearing out, and it's much better for just sort of rocking motions rather than rotational directions as well. So yeah, Enduro max bearings, fantastic, and they're also really well sealed as well. So these are the LLU seal on a max capacity bearing. And then just because quite a lot of people actually ask for Enduro bearings, because obviously the marketing is working, we do keep Enduro bearings in stock for nearly everything, and we give our customers the option of a normal standard stainless steel bearing, which is like a few quid, right up to these, which can be like 8 to 9, maybe a bit more pounds than that. So, and these are on the ABEC 3. The ABEC 3, ABEC 5 is a different type of rating. It's more to do with the precision of the balls rather than the precision of the fit. So watch out, they don't actually put the fit that we've just been talking about on them, but we keep these an option. Do they last any longer than a stainless steel? I don't know. The jury's still out for me. I think there's too many sort of things at play to really say that they are definitely worthwhile upgrading. That NTNs, I can definitely say when we fit these definitely do really well. But oh my God, can they be costly? So there we go. It's just like that's the range we keep. We also keep in cheap sort of no brand bearings as well, because sometimes like commuter bikes, you just need to get a bike going again, really cost effective solution. They don't need to cost a lot and you can replace them pretty easily. So most bike shops I think will keep a range like that and should give you the choice, or nor the point we normally look at the bike that's in front of us. Is it a set of Zipp wheels or a set of NVs or something like that the customer really wants good quality bearings in? We'll just fit an appropriate level of bearing in there, So, and that's what a customer would totally expect. I'm sure you would too. So, okay, well, I hope that video was useful. If you like this sort of content, again, please put down your comments. What does your bike shop do? Do they give you options like this? Have you experimented with other types of bearings? Have you found bearings that kind of work? Have you encountered the same problems that we have, that no matter how hard you try to put better quality bearings inside a Zipp wheel, that you just get that squeak? And have you done what we've done and put wax on your spokes or tried to grease your rear derailleur hanger and God knows what else, and eventually just gone, it was the down bearings all along? And again, if you haven't subscribed already, please think about subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate that. Until next time, take it easy.